Hello and welcome to my channel. If you are a subscriber, welcome back. It's great to have you here. So I recently filmed the video, I'm gonna link it up here, where I talk about the state of luxury fashion and the state of the luxury market. And I actually mentioned in that video, based on some of the existing data, that the luxury market is projected to grow in the next, or to continue growing in the next 4 years. And one of you left a comment saying that I failed to talk about the price increases. And this is true. I didn't talk about the price increases in that video, and they are obviously a big part of the conversation. So I'm going to dedicate this particular video to the price increases, and I'm going to look once again at some numbers, charts, and statistics. But then at the end, I'm also going to offer an example based on my kind of personal experience of shopping luxury fashion for the last 15 years. So if you're ready for this video, let's go. By the way, everything that I say in this video is for entertainment purposes only. I'm not a financial advisor, I'm not an analyst, I'm not an economist. I'm just somebody who likes to shop luxury fashion, and I'm sharing, what I know based on my own experience. All right, so let's talk about the price increases. I actually found an article which was published back in March, which specifically quotes an expert who is saying that the growth of the luxury market that is projected for this year, for 2024, is going to be happening largely due to the price increases. I'm going to put up this quote here on the screen. It says, most of the luxury industry's growth in 2024 will come from price increases. Sales are expected to rise by 7% this year, and that's according to the estimates of Bernstein, a luxury analyst, even as brands only sell 1 to 2% more stuff. So once again, let's look at this. Sales are expected to rise by 7% this year, even as brands only sell 1 to 2% more stuff. So once again, at least according to the numbers here and the opinion of this particular luxury analyst, what we see is the projected growth of the luxury market in 2024 is going to be due to the price increases. And this is actually really huge. And speaking of the price increases, let's once again look at some numbers and some statistics. So we're going to go back to Chanel, and I'm going to put the same graph up here on the screen. But the price of the medium Chanel Classic flap now stands at 10,800 US dollars. So the price of this particular bag at Chanel more than doubled since 2016, when it was retailing for 4,900 US dollars, at least in the US market. If we look at a different chart right here, we can actually compare the price increases in three major brands. That's Louis Vuitton, Chanel, and Hermes. And looking at this particular graph, all of the brands and their major bags have experienced price increases over the last several years. But if we compare the graph, if we compare the line itself between Hermes, Louis Vuitton, and Chanel, we can see that the prices at Chanel have been increasing at a greater rate starting from 2016. And we can see that right now in 2024, the Chanel Classic flap, the medium Chanel Classic flap, is approaching very, very close to the price of, let's say, a basic Birkin 35. So the price of a basic Birkin 35 right now stands at 12,500 US dollars, and the price of a Chanel Classic flap stands at $10,800. By the way, my name is Lisa, and I'm your guide to savvy luxury shopping no matter where you are. Subscribe to my channel to learn more about strategic luxury shopping with the emphasis on quality and timelessness of your items. So, what does this mean for the average, let's say, middle class aspirational consumer? Well, I think, and a lot of people agree on this, that it basically means that some brands, and of course, some brands more than others, are actually trying to outprice an aspirational consumer. And I think this is especially the fact with Chanel, if we are looking at the type of steep price increases that we've seen since 2016. By the way, I also read in another source that if those type of price increases will continue at Chanel, like the double digit price increases, then the price of a Chanel classic flap is going to stand at 20,000 US dollars in just 5 years. Let me know in the comments. Are you going to be paying 20,000 US dollars for a Chanel classic flap in 5 years, right? Because it just sounds like an incredible amount of money. And once again, if we look at the price increases, it is the 1% and the wealthy and the super rich who are much less affected by them, right? Because for that type of a consumer, these price increases, they do not hit as hard as for the aspirational consumer, somebody who is buying maybe only one or two handbags per year, and therefore it just becomes more and more difficult to save up for a particular bag when the price of that bag, increases a couple of times per year, and those increases are actually double digit increases. And once again, if we compare price increases in Hermes, Chanel, and Louis Vuitton, we just see that, for example, for Louis Vuitton Neverfull, the price increases is just not as steep. Even Hermes Birkin hasn't really experienced that steep of a price increase. But once again, if we look at Chanel, just look on this graph and look how steep the price increases are starting from 2016. Another point to make here is that even at Chanel, not all of the bags are affected equally by price increases. It is the classic styles, the styles that are most coveted by pretty much all the consumers, that experience the greatest price increases. For example, I'm going to put some numbers out here, but Chanel 22 bag did not experience any price increases in this past spring of 2024. So once again, it is a much less coveted, much less classic style from Chanel. In fact, I don't think it's a classic style at all, and therefore that bag is just really not as greatly affected by the price increases. Okay, so looking at these price increases, what are we likely to see? Well, first of all, more and more people could be turning to the pre-loved market, which might also mean that the prices on the pre-loved market are also going to increase because there is going to be more demand. Another aspect of this, and this is of course a separate conversation, but more and more people could also be buying fakes. And this also has all kinds of different consequences, but I'm not going to talk about this here. And another consequence could be that people simply choose to buy different luxury items and not just the handbags, or people will prioritize their spending, buying things that are perhaps a little bit less expensive than a handbag. So I'm going to quote another article out here, which basically said that according to celebrity stylist and personal shopper Rebecca Kahane, her clients are reaching for the pre-loved Chanel bags instead of brand new ones, and there has been a huge increase in Chanel shoe sales. So once again, we have another source saying that more and more people are going to be turning to the pre-loved market, and also more and more people are actually choosing different type of products, for example from Chanel, and starting to buy more Chanel shoes. So I wonder what that's going to mean in the future, and whether it's actually going to mean that slowly the price of Chanel shoes is also going to be decreasing, double digits in the same way that we've seen the increases on such popular styles as the Chanel classic flap. So we looked at some numbers and some price increases specifically when it comes to handbags, of big name brands like Louis Vuitton, Chanel, and Hermes. But filming this video, I actually asked myself a question. What about everything else? We constantly talk about just how much the prices have increased across the board, but it becomes kind of difficult to see and to prove and to really get a good sense for this. So I decided to use an example from my own shopping experience. I'm going to put a picture right here of some plastic Gucci kind of poolside beach sandals that I bought on the Gucci website, I think back in 2010 and 2011. I no longer have these sandals because they actually broke a couple of years ago, and I replaced them with a pair from Christian Louboutin. But these sandals overall were very high quality. I wore them for like 10 years every single summer to the pool, to the beach, and even sometimes around the city if I was just getting out of the pool and I needed to get somewhere very, very quickly. So the sandals, had an element of design to them. They were kind of like these thong sandals, and there was a tie around the ankle. And, when I purchased them, basically the sandals came with a spare set of ties, right, in case they would break. So I basically wore these sandals for 10 years and eventually they did break and I had to replace them completely. But I would say that for a pair of plastic sandals like this, 10 years is a really good amount of time. And from memory, unfortunately, I couldn't find kind of the receipt or the online purchase. I do remember it was from Gucci.com, but from memory, these sandals were definitely less than 300 US dollars in price. I think I paid somewhere between 250 and 300 US dollars for these sandals, which at the time I thought was a lot of money. And therefore, I made sure that I was actually wearing the sandals and using, the item that I purchased. So, what I decided to do right now is do a bit of an experiment. I kept in mind these kind of old sandals that I had, purchased more than 10 years ago, and I went on Gucci website to just see what can I actually get on gucci.com from Gucci right now for less, or let's say around a $300 mark. Okay, so I have my notes here on the computer for reference. And of course, because I'm comparing my plastic sandals from 10 years ago, I actually went and I looked at shoes on Gucci.com, specifically looking what type of sandals for the summer, for the pool, and for the beach I can actually get right now. So the cheapest pair that I could find is this pair of slides right here. I mean, they do come in a lot of different colors, some like really nice pink and kind of lightish green color, so really cute. If you ask me, there is not much of a design going on here, right? It's just a plastic slide sandal with GG logo on top. And these sandals right now retail on the US website for 470 US dollars. So considerably more than what I paid over 10 years ago. Now, I looked a little bit more and I found this pair of sandals. So they're also plastic for the beach or for the pool, but I think they have a little bit more of a design going on. It's like a thong sandal and there is this horse bead detail which is positioned on the top of the sandal. So I thought, they looked a little bit more interesting. So if I was buying an equivalent right now to what I bought more than 10 years ago, I would perhaps get these sandals. But guess what? They retail for 550 US dollars. So this is basically double of the price that I paid for something fairly similar about 10 to 12 years ago. Okay, now let me take the ceiling of 300 US dollars and let's see what we can actually buy for about 300 US dollars on Gucci.com nowadays. So, looking at costume jewelry, you can get this ring for 340 US dollars. I mean, if you ask me, nothing super special. Once again, it has this GG branding and just kind of like, I guess, a fake pearl on the other side. And so a ring like this nowadays is going to cost you $340. Also, for $340, you can actually buy a single costume jewelry earring, which just basically says Gucci. Once again, a single earring. So if we count, two earrings, if you actually want to have a pair, so two earrings like this are gonna cost you $680 nowadays. And for that amount of money, maybe if you just add a little bit on top, under 1,000, you could actually get yourself something that is made out of real gold. So, for example, from Tiffany's, right? So I do think, paying $340 for a single costume jewelry earring is a bit too much. By the way, I mean, if you are actually interested in some of these items, I'm going to link all of them down in the description box. And as I go through them further, I think some of them are actually not a bad choice at all. But it was interesting for me to see just, how much the prices have really changed over the last, let's say, 10, 12 years. Okay, let's go next. Let's see what else can we get for about 300 US dollars. So just under 300 US dollars at $295, we have this card case. They also come in a couple of different colors, but to me, for $295, this is actually a pretty basic card case, right? There are a couple of card slots in the front, a couple in the back. There's just kind of an opening in the middle, and then at the bottom, there is just the name of the brand written out, which basically says Gucci. There's not much design that has been actually involved in making this, and this retails for 295 US dollars. So this is basically the cheapest leather good that you can actually get on Gucci website right now. Um, Perhaps a bit more interesting option is actually this key case, and it costs 330 US dollars. But this is something that I would actually spend my money on, and I think I might look at a case like this next time I'm at a Gucci store. I will be traveling in August, so I'm going to check out a couple of items. But I think this key case is quite nice. It's quite cute. They also come in a couple of different color options when it comes to the canvas, and I think they could be quite versatile. Something that you could hang on your bag, something that you could put inside your bag. You could keep some coins, keys, maybe smaller items. I think this key case is really quite cute. And, there is something here, at least there is a zipper, that maybe justifies the price of $330. Now, next, I found this keychain for $320. And I think what really struck me the most is that nowadays, $320 actually gets you just a keychain, right? You put it on your keys, maybe you decorate your bag with this keychain. But back 12 years ago, for 300 or less than $300, I could actually buy a functional pair of sandals that I was able to wear for about 10 years or so. So for me, this was probably like the starkest difference when it comes to the level of prices that we see right now. Then I looked a little bit at, silks and scarves and things of that nature. So pretty much one of the cheapest items that I found right now at Gucci is a twilly, or basically a small silk scarf. I'm not sure what's the proper Gucci name for it, but it's a small silk scarf. I'm gonna put a picture right here. So they retail right now for $220. I mean, are they cute? Yes. And I actually think they could be really quite versatile, because you can tie them around your hair, on your neck, around your wrist. You can put them on your handbag. I mean, I think there is a lot of use that can be had from a small silk scarf like this. But once again, at $220, it's pretty much one of the cheapest items you can get on the website right now. And when it comes to what I think is the cheapest item, check this out. The cheapest item is a $195 sports towel from Gucci, which is basically a white towel with, kind of Gucci, not the monogram, but what it's the Gucci web on the side. So I think this is supposed to be a towel that you actually take to the gym. I do not know. Maybe you go to a gym where people have towels like this, but I personally would not buy a Gucci towel to take to the gym, because these things get disgusting, really, really quickly. And at $195, honestly, I think that's a bit of an overkill. That's a little bit too much. I would rather add another $25 and actually just get myself a Twilly, which I think is so much more versatile than like a white Gucci towel. Well, that's it for today's video. I mean, let me know, what did you think about my price comparisons when it comes to Gucci? Did you actually like any of those Gucci items that I showed? I'm gonna link all of them in the description box below. So if you actually liked something, I hope it's not the towel, but if you actually liked something, go ahead and check out those items. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'm gonna link up here the other video on the state of luxury and the state of the luxury market that I filmed, a couple of weeks ago. So check that one out next. But for now, take care and bye bye.